Good evening and welcome to round 7 of our kart PPG IndyCar World Series 1987 Championship, coming to you tonight from the, shall we call it, picturesque Burke Lakefront Airport and the Budweiser Grand Prix of Cleveland. With me in the booth and in a heat-waved Europe, I have Tim Hille. Good evening, Tim.
Good evening, Jonathan.
How are you this heated evening?
I mean, I feel quite good. Like you said, it could be a little bit colder, but I've got my towel next to me, so I can put my sweaty hands in it. I'm fully prepared.
Similar to me, then I have a 2-liter water bottle beside me just in case, which I'll probably be pimpling quite a bit of during the course of this evening.
Yeah, keep yourself hydrated. It's a very wise decision today.
Certainly so. As it has been this whole evening, it's at least in Sweden. We celebrated Midsummer on Friday, and it's, if I remember correctly, they said it was the hottest Midsummer in 40 years, and I can certainly believe that.
Yeah, I think we also had like a heat record last weekend here in Germany. Something like 39 degrees, I think.
Ooh.
Yeah, luckily I don't live there.
Ooh. Well, I hope for all us Europeans that it'll cool down a little bit, and I hope the rest of the world has a more survivable heat of, say, 20 to 25 degrees Celsius instead of what we are experiencing right now. As mentioned, the Burke Lakefront Airport. It's a 2.479 mile long temporary course on a airfield, which I believe back then was still in use but was shut down for the weekend for these races. Our drivers will be doing 80 laps, which will equal 198.32 miles, so more or less, say, 200-mile race this evening. And based on the bumpy nature of this track, it's going to be mighty interesting.
Yeah, definitely. Like you mentioned, it's very bumpy and also very wide, so we could maybe see some interesting clients when someone's trying to overtake another person. Or maybe even experimental defensive lines.
Indeed. I seem to remember fairly late on in this track's history, for IndyCar at least, there were like a 3-car wide going into turn 1 after a late race yellow, and then on the restart that happened. Which I think may or may not have sparked quite a bit of conversation and unhappiness by some people. Because I think it was somehow championship deciding or something based on the anger. And I think this track more or less is 165 degree right-hander, then a little king, and then it's 90 right, 90 left, 90 left, 90 right, 90 right, 90 right. Would that be relatively correct?
Should be, yes.
Ooh. So indeed, we'll see some pretty hefty action, and obviously probably a lot of boost battles, and it'll be interesting to see how far people are willing to stretch that, considering there are a few limits for our drivers. In terms of the championship, before we get to warm-up and a few other bits and pieces, championship leader is Richard Coxon on 90 points after his win last time out. I want to remember that the year Juan Pablo Montoya won the kart championship, he had a crash on this track, so if Richard wants to emulate the 2000 I think it was championship, Coxon will have to duplicate that, I suppose, with him leading the championship at the moment. Vadim Tachak is second on 76 points after a fairly lackluster event last time out. Thiago Canola lies third on 63 points. David Yates is fourth on 54 points, and then quite a bit of a drop down again to Anders Nilsson in fifth, who has scored so far 36 points.
Yeah, the funny thing is now, actually, after already 6 races, you can see who will be in the fight for a championship. I mean, I don't want to discredit Anders, but I think he's going to have a very hard time if he wants to go for the championship lead now. And now is also the time where you can either build or lose some momentum. For example, Cox and Tatchek, they had both of them had very good races the last few times. And, you know, after round 4, Thiago Kanoda was leading the championship, and now he's 27 points behind Richard Coxon. I mean, if Thiago wants to have an easy time to get into a championship lead, he should deliver today or not tomorrow.
I think he has actually resigned from the championship from due to not having enough time to spend both on sim racing and on spending time with his family, I believe. So he probably won't score many more points this season, unfortunately. I just remembered that.
Well, I forgot it.
Well, that's why we are two in the booth. But right, driver's briefing at the moment. So coming up here at ISO, we have next weekend, which I'm extremely bummed to be missing, the 1996 RSC Tourist Trophy. That will be part of the Lucas Vidra Trophy of 2022. That is round 4 of 6 in that championship, and that'll take place on July 3rd. And the race will start at 2000 CEST. That is summertime for Central Europe. That is the same time this race is scheduled to start. I think we might be a few minutes late, but you get the gist. And I believe as the final race before the summer break, I might be wrong. For me, the summer break would be in July, but I think we may usually have it in August. But after that, the weekend after that, in 2 weeks' time, on July 10th, we will be seeing round 8 of 15 of this championship, the 1987 kart 1, with a Molson Indy Toronto. So from one bumpy airport track to a possibly just as bumpy street circuit in downtown Toronto. And if I remember correctly, from the 86 season we did with these cars, that was quite the hectic one.
Luckily, we are only a virtual driver, so we don't have to get through the pain the real drivers had to with the bumpy tracks.
Yeah, for sure. It wouldn't surprise me if some drivers, if they drove from enough years on very bumpy tracks, they got a little bit shorter because their spines were constantly contracted every time they went over a hefty bump.
Yeah, or they just had massive back pain for their years in retirement.
That's definitely also a possibility. Also, I mentioned there are fuel limits. There are also tire limits, or tire rules as such. Each driver has 4 sets of tires for the entire event, that meaning qualifying, warm-up and race. And each car is limited to 116 US gallons, which is give or take 439 liters for this race. And we were speculating a little bit on the fuel and tire window as such. And I think we more or less settled on it being either a 2 or 3 stop event out of the 80 laps, dependent on yellows and what kind of strategy you would like. If you're going early for the 2 stop, then obviously you might need to do a bit of fuel saving along the way.
Yeah, also depends on your driving style. If you're someone like, say, Grant Riddle, who last race abused his boost knob in the first laps. I mean, if you do that, you're probably gonna end up with a 3-stop rather than a 2-stop.
For sure. And it'll also, I'd assume, depend on what kind of power plant you got propelling you forward in this race. As obviously the Chevrolet engines probably won't be able to do the 2-stop even if they want to, without the help of yellows. While at least the Hondas, I think, ought to be able to do that if they wish. to try for it. The Cosworths, I'm honestly not sure what their situation would be.
Yeah, we also have to be cautious with the engine temperature, I think. Could be easy to just overheat your engine when you're stuck behind someone and you can't make any overtakes in these 90-degree corners.
For sure. And this is the track, slightly from the final chicane on this track, which is a fairly tight affair, and actually a fairly tight entry as well, where you can see the double wall there. The wall closest to the camera is the retaining wall between the pit entry and the race road, which means if you're 2 wide or 3 wide there, someone will most likely have to give to avoid having trouble.
Yeah, that's how it's mostly works at 90-degree corners. Someone has to give way because 90-degree corners, fitting 2 cars through there, you can make it work, but it's hard work.
Ooh, right. And Jason put in a little bit of a tidbit. Alberto Equino, let's see if we can find him on track at the moment. There he is. He is driving a Penske PC16 tonight. One of few rare appearances for that particular car.
Nice to see these rather more exotic cars and not just all the thousands of Marches and other chassis that are usually represented here.
Indeed, indeed. And we can see here the wide road that Tim alluded to. Wide, the track wide enough to take probably a Boeing 777 on it. It makes these open-wheeled IndyCar / kart cars look quite small in comparison.
It's actually quite easy to get lost, or at least I felt like it when I did my first few laps. I was like, alright, where's the corner now? I only see straight in front of me.
Indeed. That's very typical for flat tracks, airport tracks and similar, where you definitely can get lost. Let's jump on board here with Alberto Jr. for a lap, coming out of the final chicane onto the start-finish straight. Quite a short blast into another left-right chicane, with tires on the inside of both left and right hand. Pit exit on the left here, and then short blast, and then a heavy braking zone into that 165-degree right-hander, which is tight on the entry and then opens up to be very wide. But since you're constantly turning, you will have to be quite careful with putting the power on. Fastest part of the track now, very wide and down into a very quick sweeping right-hander. Get the car then set up over the bumps into a left-hander, try not to run too wide here. Then down a very bumpy intersection straight into a left-hander, fairly fast and sweeping, into a more open right-hander, very bumpy. Down a short straight, very bumpy here we can see, and trying to get the car into this very fast right-hander and then slow down. Get the car turned into another right-hander and try to avoid the outside wall, which Juan Pablo Montoya didn't do back in 2000. Down the back straight now, pit entry on the left, retaining wall on the left now, and then into a hard braking zone, into a tight right-left chicane onto the start-finish straight.
The precisions the drivers have to display this evening is quite impressive. I mean, as a commentator, I always feel like, alright, he's gonna crash into the tire wall or into the tires, but when you're driving normally, or when you're in the car, you're just driving and you don't think... I mean, you obviously know you got to avoid the tires, but it never feels that close.
No, indeed. And it's noticeable if I'm looking back from Alberto's car now. Look at the tires and suspension work and how much the car is moving around. It's like, on top of the tires, all these bumps, they are everywhere. So I mean, these cars on a full tank of fuel around here must be a real hassle
Looks a bit like the porpoising current F1 cars are experiencing.
Indeed. Ooh, and Anders all crossed up, but with a good run. Down the inside. And he takes the position, so that's one of the passing opportunities we will see here on this track.
Exit of the hairpin could also be a good one if you're ready to abuse your boost knob.
Certainly so. And it's impressive to see, even though he went on to pass Alberto on that lap, Anders Nilsson currently has the fastest lap in this warm-up session.
Could be a good candidate for a win today if he continues like that.
Could definitely be. He's a very, very good driver. Oh, and there we can see what happens if you hit the tires too hard or too much. Alberto with an off and a spin. But yeah, that's definitely one of those that could win. I would not be surprised if David Yates, Tatjak or Coxon wins either. And I would reckon that there might be one or two people that we might see do very well here as well, considering the nature of this track. And Sanders now also went in to try the pit entry, but time is up. So, any idea who you think is most likely to win, apart from Anders Nilsson?
Wilkes qualified second, always a good shot in the race. I don't think he has been on the podium before here in Kart Series, so, you know, could be first time.
Definitely possible.
Beside that, maybe also Grant Vidal. I mean, last time he qualified like P14, I think, and was leading after a handful of laps. Now he's starting from pole. Could also be a good recipe for the win.
Definitely so. So on pole, as we mentioned, Grant Riddall in the Craco Racing number 18 entry. Second on the grid is Richard Wilkes for Hemmelgarn. So very good qualifying session for Richard. Hopefully he'll have a good one. Richard Coxon is third for True Sports, with David Yates fourth for Doug Shearson Racing. Anders Nilsson will line up fifth for Vince Granatelli Racing, with Ray Riddall in sixth for Newman Haas. Jus Bouchard will line up seventh for Alex Morales Motorsports, with Francisco Amaral in eighth for Leadercard Racing. Vadim Tatjak lines up 9th for RCR Racing, and Juha Boos lines up 10th for Reiner Racing. Peter Lavac will start from 11th for Bettenhausen Motorsports, and Jon Tim will start from 12th for the Machinists Union Racing entry. Adam Hackman will start 13th for AJ Foyt Enterprises, and Jason Fitch will be starting from 14th for Gore Racing, number 56 car. August Watering will start 15th for Patrick Racing, with Keo McKeel starting 16th for Gallus Racing. Mike Olson will start 17th behind his teammate for Patrick Racing, with Jason Whited starting 18th in the second Machinists Union Racing entry. Jason White will start 19th for Gallus Racing, and Oscar Tim will round out the top 20 for Newman Teamworks. Simon Wattman will start 21st for Los Angeles Drywall, a one-off entry in one of the 85 marches, with Luciano Rocha starting 22nd for Dick Simon Racing. Alberto Quino in the PC16 Penske will start from 23rd position, and Brun Chacon rounds out the field for Dick Simon Racing in 24th. And coming into the last section now, we can see the safety car going 10 tenths to try and keep a decent pace. That looks like quite a hazardous pace car to be driving through the corners on this track. And we can now see the whole field working their way past the pit entry, down into the final chicane to look to start this race. And through the final turn. And the green flag is out and we are racing. Ooh, and Wilkes trying to go around outside, but Grant holds on for the lead. And it looks like he will hold on to the lead.
Grant is massively building a gap currently. 8 tenths after one corner. That's a solid effort.
Looks like everyone survived that, and pardon the frame drops. It's very hot, so my computer is a little bit hot as well, unfortunately. But yes, Grant has definitely opened up a lead. Wilkes in second, Coxon in third, Yates in fourth, and Anders Nilsson currently in fifth, with Ray Riddle still in sixth. Ooh, Bors under attack in seventh, holds on from Burke in eighth. Jon Team in ninth, and Vadim Tachak currently rounds out top 10.
Many cars onto the grass at the third to last corner.
Very
Already
easy
pushing
to do that
on that
indeed.
one.
Oh, Rocha very wide there, probably some dirty tires. And we saw that in the little bit of warm-up session that we did see quite a few cars running wider, and as you mentioned previously, it is a very difficult section of the track.
So the top four have kinda settled now, or at least the top three got all about a second space to each other. No one seems to use this boost knob for now. Maybe they wait for a caution and for a late attempt.
Oh no! Bors hits the tires. It was under attack from Bouchard.
I think.
Yep. And Bors made a mistake trying to leave room in the first bit, and now he has some dirty tires and understeering, so that could open up for Lavac to go past as well. But it looks
already
like
the first free before Tachak, looking to recover from 10th on the grid.
Looks like he's doing okay. For the moment at least. Could be that he is waiting for other people's problems for now and just saving a bit of fuel. Ooh, and another one under attack was Watering, who's under attack from Francisco Amaral. So Francisco for leader card racing is doing his best to try and give Watering a run for his money. And Watering runs a bit too wide. Amaral should have a decent run. But then again, that Patrick Racing car has a Chevrolet engine in it, and that looks to be enough to keep Watering ahead for now.
Busha already closed up to Ray Riddle in 6th, so seems to have some good pace.
Indeed, and I just saw why the Penske was not often used. He was all crossed up going through the
Jax misses the first chicane. He's now 5th. He went from 4th to 5th.
Oh dearie me. Let's have a look at that. He was under attack from Anders Nilsson. Not close attack, but... Ooh, car broke loose immediately as he turned into that final chicane, and that was a good escape from a bad situation.
Scary moment when you only got tires on the left and no other space to catch the car if needed.
Indeed, very much so. Watering has lost out to Amaral, and he is now under attack from Hackman as well. Hackman sparking away and trying for a run up the inside, not able to make it there. Oh, but Watering hits the tires on the entrance to the third to last turn and runs way wide, able to hold on to it, but stays wide for the faster cars arriving from behind. Oh, that was a fairly close call as well.
Equino just overtook White for P20, a little free car group, Mikhail's, Equino and White. Now they're a little bit split apart, but White is boosting his way past, his way onto the gearbox of Equino again.
Well, that's a Gallus Racing sandwich with a Penske in the middle. That's the first time I've seen such a sandwich, I think. At least for a very long time.
But Watering seems to have recovered from his airtime he caught. His car looks to drive normal.
I think that was more a pressure thing where he just couldn't hold on any longer. And I reckon those Chevrolet engined cars are quite a bit to try and keep a hold of around these tracks.
Bouchard and Takchak fighting for 7th.
And I was going to say Ball was holding on to the position, but he did, but close call. Oh, Bouchard with a late dive up the inside into turn 4. Not able to make it happen there. That's the same kind of move he tried on Bose a few laps ago.
And again.
Ooh. Takchak leaves him room. Oh, but Bouchard with a good cutback maybe. Oh, he should be... Ooh! Just about not with the overlap there. Dear me, this is some very close racing for sure.
John team in the prime seat to just have a nice, good look at the fight. Now he's overtaking by himself. Nah, steps out of it.
It's another one of those things with these cars. You can drive one way and then all of a sudden you're still in difficulty because you make one tiny mistake and lose out on momentum. Oh, someone into the pits? Oh, it's Jason Fitch and Mike Olsen. And it looks like that is... Oh, that's a puncture for at least Jason Fitch. And it looks like Olsen has... Oh, a lost front wing for both of them. So both of them, I think, will have hit the wall coming off the third to last turn. That's unfortunate for them. Grant McDowell still in the lead meantime, with Wilkes in second. Coxon still in third, with Nilsson in a secure fourth now, with Yakes in fifth. Ribridol still in sixth, with Takchak seventh. Bouchard still under attack in eighth. From Jonatan in ninth, Bose in 10th. Lavac not too far behind in 11th, and then a bit of a gap back to Amaral in 12th.
Impressive how Takchak built up a 2-second gap within 2 or 3 laps to Bouchard.
Ooh, here comes Jonatan up the inside of Bouchard. But with how wide this track is, it's more of a... Oh, he hits the tires or like dip too far down the inside. He runs wide, balls up a position. and so does Lavage, so Jan team from 9th to 11th.
That's how easy you can lose your place in a group. Just a little bit, put the car a little bit wrong, at the wrong place. Vadim down to 6th. Overtook Ray at the last corner, or rather last chicane.
And note in the background on this shot, the water now on the right of this camera. We're just a little bit away from the waterway of Cleveland.
Boss on the gearbox of Bouchard.
So Boss seemed to have found his feet here. Or maybe Bouchard has used up his front tires too much. Ooh! Boss up the inside. Bouchard decides to try and take the turn anyway. Little bit of contact made, but both of them seem to survive, and looks like Boss should have the run now into the final chicane. As unfortunately Little Al has retired from this race. Ooh, Bouchard and Boss both run wide into the final chicane. Let's have a look and see if we can find out what happened to Alberto Jr. Oh, looks like an coming off the final chicane. So a little bit too fast in. Gets a bit sideways and bumps the inside tires to spin around. Just going to see. Okay, so he's just off the lead lap. Tries to stay out of the fast guys. And okay, so he hit a brake marker, unfortunately, while trying to recover the car. That's really unfortunate for him. We're now White on an attack from Chacon. White holds on for now. I wonder if Jason is running with the two-stop strategy in mind. Because he now has to let Chacon by, and Rocha takes advantage as well.
Our championship leader now into P2. He got past his Richard companion, Richard Wilkes.
Lavage up into 9th as well. I think I may have missed that somewhere. And as you say, Wilkes down to 3rd, Coxon up to 2nd. So yet again, it seems like the Lola that Coxon has is far better on low fuel than it is on a full tank of fuel. Or maybe it's also down to how Richard drives and how he sets the car up. But either way, it looks very speedy at the moment, as he makes his way past Jason. And it looks like Wilkes does so as well. Meanwhile, Grant slips up the inside of Rocha.
Watering has crashed out. Suspension damage, game says.
Oh dear. Let's see if we can catch what happened to him as well then. I'd assume that's a lockup somewhere or a slight... Okay, so that is another one who bites the dust in the third to last turn wall. Ran wide, hit the wall. I think he bent the left rear suspension based on how the car then behaved. Tried to get back into the pits, hit the wall another time. And 3 times he hits the wall there. So I think he simply accumulated too much damage to be able to repair the car and decided to retire the car instead. That is highly unfortunate for him, but that's the way it goes sometimes. Redall down to 7th, Touchjack up to 6th. While all this has gone on, Bose 8th, Lavage 9th, Jon Team in 10th, Francisco Amaral in 11th, and Bouchard in 12th. So I think Bouchard has dropped back a little bit. It was now Amaral on the grass, and up the inside goes Bouchard, and Amaral gives him the position by the looks of things. Not feeling like he wants to race hard at the moment.
Probably playing the long game, might be using his slipstream to lower his fuel consumption.
Could definitely be the case. Definitely looks like Bouchard is in a bit of a hurry. Wattman very sportingly gets out of the way of the faster car stand. Amaral up the inside of Bouchard now. So maybe not. Amaral simply slow being on the grass there, but now up the inside and going for it. Ooh, tiny bit of contact. Both of them still side by side through turn 4 and 5, and still side by side coming out to turn 5. Down towards turn 6, and Bouchard holds on to the position. As Richard Coxon, going towards what I said earlier, he looked pacey. He now sits the fastest lap of the race at the moment at a 1:13.1.
He's catching Grant rapidly.
And Bouchard just slightly scraped the wall then. Sorry, not Bouchard, Bose. Just scraped the wall of what would be turn 9. So let's look at this. Yeah, it's definitely closer as Coxon. So it definitely looks like Coxon has a faster car on lower fuel. As that's Mike Olsen getting out of the way in 22nd. So Olsen back out and running again, that's nice to see. After the repairs he had to make, and I think Jason is out there as well. As Coxon now down inside of Olsen, and Olsen stays out of the way.
Lavage could be setting up a move on Boss. He had a look last time, but now he had a mischief.
Ooh.
So,
Jon Team nearly going for it instead.
Grant responding with the fastest lap of the race.
Ooh. So Grant and Coxon really going for it now. All out attack.
Bouchard conceded his place to Amaral, and now Adam Heckman is looks like he's catching Bouchard.
So I think Bouchard may have made a mistake somewhere. Because that's a lot of time to drop behind. And this is one of those tracks really where you make the tiniest of errors and you immediately lose 4, 5, 6 seconds because of how unforgiving this track is in terms of, like, you take too much on the inside of any of these turns, you hit the tire and you bounce or even damage your car, or you run too wide and you have to go off the gas because you're on very slippery grass.
Yeah, Bouchard's last lap was 71, and before that he was always in the mid to low 16s. You don't lose half a second when you didn't do a mistake.
No, indeed. Amaral now will have a slightly slower lap because he made a mistake, took a bit too shallow an entry into turn 8 and ran wide off the turn onto the grass. And I heard someone enter the pits, but I think that's someone who was already a lap or so down, because I didn't see anyone drop back more than expected. And Crutledall with another fastest lap. And now Wilkes with the fastest lap, with a 100 to a couple of hundredths of a second. So definitely proving that the top 4, make that maybe top 5, is right on the money in terms of pace. It's just a question of who has the best luck.
Yeah, after top 5 we got David Jakes, a little bit on his own, 10 seconds in front, 15 seconds to the car behind him. I mean, if attrition doesn't give him a place, he should finish before.
Indeed. Well, it's interesting to see. We mentioned that he had the fastest warm-up lap and that he'd be in with a shot for sure. Silently, now in 4th place, is Anders Nilsson. Last one on the pace at the moment, and right on the gearbox of Wilkes and Coxon.
Yeah, and Grant Vidal has reopened his gap. His gap went from 4 seconds to 2 seconds and now back again to 4 seconds. Maybe it was just relaxing for a few laps, saving some fuel. Someone spins in front of Grant. Oh my god, that was close.
Oh, that is... Oh, that is Jason Whiten, unfortunately, trying to make his way back to the track. Again, with the few landmarks, it's difficult to know where is the track actually. So, thankfully, all is well and good. He was able to return to the track, and Grant was able to avoid him then. Let's jump on board with Anders for a moment and see what he's doing. Oh, he's actually showing himself on the inside of Wilkes there, going into turn 8.
Just saying hello, I'm here, your Marcus will concede the place to me, would be nice.
Indeed. Wilkes actually putting on that "I will defend if you try" as a response to that.
Very loose moment for Wilkes, he's definitely not saving his car.
Like I said when I posted the broadcast on the forum, welcome to the most ride 'em Cowboys-like track on the calendar. Because that definitely looked like one of those where you just hold on and try to get all you can out of the car if possible. Owen Anders' beautiful lines, setting up a good run down this infield straight.
Yeah, but Richard Wilkes, he is a smart guy. He knows perfectly how to use his boost knob while not. Hard guy to overtake.
Indeed.
I mean, there's a reason why he was a F1 86 champion last year. You don't win there if you are a bad driver, you know?
Very much so. When Anders with a big fuel save into the final chicane that time. And look at that, a 12.6 from Grant. Wowee. Another 3/10 shaved off the current race lap record. Who, Anders runs a little bit wide, gives the wall a bit of a tap. Hopefully no major damage done.
Coxon also with a 12.7 last time around. Both are quite similar in pace actually when they go for it.
Holy moly. That sort of proves that, okay, the top 4 has got the setup and the driving style correct for this track. All the others are struggling to more or less extend with one or both or either of those two things. Because I reckon if you don't have a setup right for this track, especially with all the bumps, it will be an extremely tiring and difficult race to be done. And if you don't drive the car correct over the bumps, even if you have the setup relatively there, it'll still be difficult because you hit the bumps the wrong way and it'll still upset the car.
Could also be mentally challenging for you because you just got so much track in front of you to put your car at. You could easily miss a corner at lap 70 of 80 and that could be costly.
As you say that, Anders Nilsson just makes a bit of a mistake, cut a bit too far to the inside, hit the grass, and that upset the car as he put the power on and the car just swapped ends on him. Looks like he will just about hold on to 4th though, but he is now 10 seconds behind Wilkes in 3rd, and obviously Anders will have to take a lap or two just to be a bit careful because the tires will now be up quite warm as well.
But Team Touchhack also made a small mistake. He had 121 like 2 or 3 laps ago, so Jakes now has a 27 second gap instead of a 15 second gap, and now he has diminished his gap by at least 2 seconds, 3 seconds, still counting.
I see he ran a bit wide as well then. That's probably one of those, oh, I'm getting closer to the car in front! And then you make the tiniest of errors and with dire consequences because the track has... Because it's so quick, even with the wide tarmac, there's little allowance for mistakes as Grant shaves another 2/10 off the fastest lap. And Tachak still with Ray close behind, with Bors not far behind either, Lavac as well, and Jon Team and Francisco Amaral. So this is almost oval racing right here with a couple of groups of cars that are running similar pace. Amaral's ping has gone a bit high there, but hopefully it will sort itself back down. Jos Bouchard in 12th and not able to make any inroads on the cars in front. Then Hackman in 13th. Michiels now in 14th with Whited in 15th. Oscar Tim in 16th with Bruno Chacon 17th. Luciano Rocha in 18th. Jason White in 19th. Simon Wattman in 20th, Mike Olson in 21st, and Jason Fitch, final runner currently, 6 laps down on the leader in 22nd, with the retirees being Watering and Equino so far.
Whitehead just had a spin.
Oh dear.
Some mistakes we had in the last lap. Maybe it's already tiring for not the driver's but for the tires in the car itself.
Could be a bit of both. I mean, if they're in Europe, they are driving in somewhere between 25 and 35 degree heat.
Well, I hope they got a fan and they are somewhere close to them so they get some cool air.
For sure. But that is very sporting from Jason. He waited for all the cars to go by before he rejoined the track. And that was also unfortunate for him because that was a very slow spin on the grass. And Grant with another 10th off the fastest lap of this race. So Grant definitely going for it.
Gap now up to 6 seconds to Coxon.
I wonder if Coxon may even have said, as Grant has pushed the pace here, that okay, hotshot, I'm leading the championship. You are quite far behind me at the moment. I can allow you to get the win if you are able to get it. I'll be happy with second or third.
Coxon went from high 12, so 12.7, 12.9, 12.7 to 37 to 13.7 and 13.6 the last 2 laps. Dropped a second.
That definitely sounds like a... well, I'll be happy with this for now, and I'll see if you are able to keep this up.
Or maybe he just needed the 2 laps to cool his car down, cool his tires down.
Could definitely be the case. And so far, I gotta say, all the drivers that have been in the position of being lapped has done a very good job of leaving space for the faster cars, which is very nice to see. Because this is one of those tracks where you can be tricked as a lappy as well. Other tracks you have no room to let faster cars by. Here you have all the room in the world, and you may misread what's happening, as Simon Wattman, I noticed, has just retired. So just going to have a quick check and see if we can pick up what happened to the Los Angeles drywall driver.
I think it already happened a few laps ago. He's showing...
Looks like it, yeah.
Game is showing that he was in lap 20 when he retired. We're now in lap 25 for a lead car.
Oof.
Might have missed that one.
Could definitely be. I think Yakes may have had another off. In the same place that drivers are constantly having trouble. I seem to remember this particular corner being troublesome last year as well, and yep, same place. He ran just a little bit wide. Here's on white ahead, locks up into the next left-hander, but leaves enough room. That was a pit caller. Was that a lead car? There's Richard Wilkes into the pits on lap 27. So he is definitely going... So it's probably then going to be either a 2 or a 1 stop this race, depending on how hard you push and how much fuel you're carrying. Interesting. There's some beautiful burnouts.
If he continues with 27 laps per stint, he could pit at lap 54, and after that he doesn't need to pit again.
I reckon that might be his aim then. Ooh, and look at that, how taily that car is on cold tires. Wowee. And this is going to be the most dangerous section right now. This right and left-hander on cold tires. Nej, lilla geting. Du kan flyga ut igen. Så. Ut. Ut. Så ja. Ut. Ut, sa jag. Nej. Sorry, I have a wasp in here, so give me just a second.
Grant Woodall has actually retired from the race just as Jonathan left us. Yeah, seems like the wasp was a curse for Grant.
There we go. Sorry for the Swedish unprofessionalism there in Swedish language, as Grant has been in the pits. Oh no, retired?
He's retired, yeah.
Oh dearie me. Don't tell me that's another engine. Oh no, that's... Oh no. Don't tell me that's a lap car incident. Let's see, into turn 9. Car in front, Mike Olsen hits the wall. Oh no, that looks like a I'm not sure.
Was it disco?
That
disco,
almost looks like a disco, yeah.
He just stopped at the spot and got sent into the garage.
Could you check what the retirement says for that one?
Simply DNF.
That might very well have been a disco then, so my apologies for Mike Olsen, that was a completely separate incident. I thought that was a case of Grant didn't see where he were supposed to go. But no, that's a disconnection, it seems like, and that's very unfortunate for Grant. He was having a great pacey race right then, as Nilsson and Yates into the pits.
Heckman into 6th now, partly due to the pits and also partly because he got past Tatjak, Boss, and Ray Redall. I think he was behind him a few laps ago.
Yeah. I wonder if that's pit stops for some and not for Hackman yet then. Now we can see again how Anders Nilsson as well, really careful on cold tires. And Yates as well, really wide and then all taily trying to get the power down. And Amaral into the pits as well. Let's see, he was a little bit further down the field, so let's see where he rejoins after this stop. Looks like Hackman, that's Whited coming into the pits. Looks like Hackman might be in the pits as well. Yep, he is. So Amaral looks to be rejoining in somewhere around 5th, 6th position. He's probably going to drop a position or two because he's currently on cold tires. And look at this group in behind. Boss! Oh
Boss
no!
sending it, spinning it. Nice 360 there. Get it rolling again. Nice one. 10 out of 10 for that move.
Yeah. 0 out of 10 for not taking the position, but definitely 10 out of 10 for the recovery. That was beautiful. Because look at this. What a send he does up the inside. Ooh, has to pinch the car too much. Spins around. 360 gets going once again. Oh, and now Amaral on cold tires spins as well. And he drops to 10th position.
2 laps ago, Tertjak was 7th or 8th behind Ray Redall, I think. Now he has a 1 second gap to Ray Redall.
Ooh, that was really close. I think Jonatan may even have touched Francisco Amaral's left rear tire there during that spin. That was trying to pinch the car down too much while putting the power on. Sorry, what did you say specifically there?
Boss running wide again. No, about Vadim Tatjak. I think a few laps ago he was behind Ray Redall. Now he's in front of him. And he has no group next to him, no group fighting.
And that's very effective work.
The dynamics of the race are working again for him. This time in his favor.
And look at that. Once again, Coxon in the lead. It's like same race all over again. Someone being a little bit faster, but either Coxon being fast enough or people dropping out, and there he is taking advantage. 7 seconds his lead at the moment.
Currently our Richard 1-2 edition.
With that being Wilkes in second for Hemmelgarn. And then Nilsson third and Yates fourth. Okay, that was not for Wilkes, but that was a dark car that tried to put a lap on someone, I think. That looked very tight. Oh, whited off and whited very niftily saw, well, that's not going to work. And I think that was Hackman on Mikkelsen that looked a bit close further back there. Hackman putting a lap on KO, but before that had a bit of a scare in the entry to turn 6.
Interesting how Coxon works. I think the leading 4 have already pitted, but Tatjak, Ray Redall, and the group behind him haven't pitted yet. The first person to pit after the top 4 is Amaral, I think.
No, I'm fairly sure Tatjak has pitted as well. I think pretty much everyone has pitted by now.
I'm blind again, yes, thank you. Oscar, Team, and Bruno Chacon sending it. Team sending it down the inside.
Ooh.
Keeps his car together somehow.
And Chacon
Makes
leaves
the
him.
move work.
Indeed, and Bruno, to his credit, gave him enough room for Oscar to be able to get the car under control again. Because that's another thing that can happen on this track, where you take your racing line, but the car trying to pass you takes a very low line and you can't even see him in the mirrors. So you really need to be able to move your head around to see like 360 vision to try and keep track of where is the other two, 3, 4 guys you're fighting.
Just like Sixth Sense.
Hmm.
And Wilkes is catching Coxon. Gap is now down to around 5 seconds. Was 7 seconds at some point.
Yes, I wonder if this is again Wilkes working better on a full tank of fuel, and if Coxon will then pull away a little bit as the fuel burns off. But that whole go on.
Wilkes was a whole second faster last lap round. Wilkes is low 14s, high 13s, at least the last 2 laps. And Coxon is in the high 14s, low 15s, so about a second per lap if Coxon doesn't speed up again. Gap is now 4 seconds.
It'll be interesting to see how this develops. Speaking of that Sixth Sense thing, it makes me remember a race I did with V8 supercars, like the touring car with V8 engines, rear-wheel drive, the whole shaboddle, at Sandown. Qualified quite well, race start went off, turn 1 went okay, then turning into turn 2. As soon as I turned in, I realized and had a feeling like I probably shouldn't turn in, but I had already turned in, so I couldn't do anything, and immediately a car came from, I think, like 2 rows back, had it completely locked up with half the car on the grass and just T-boned me, and took another couple of guys along as well. It's one of those where, had I been more in the way of what we saw Chacon did just now, be like, okay, I'll just straight line this and go forward a little bit further and hope it's enough.
Yeah, sometimes it's also just a little bit of luck. I mean, if someone sent it from like 2 rows back, yeah, you know, if you wouldn't have sent it, you wouldn't be in the problem, or you wouldn't have the problem.
Indeed. To that driver's credit, he was in a 3-wide situation, was left with no room to go, so it wasn't a send for position, it was simply, shit, I need to slow down. And unfortunately ran way out of room, as Wilkes now in 2 laps have gained another second.
Yep, consistently gaining a second. Last time around 7/10 to be exact.
And at the same time, Lavach is trying to pass Bos, and he does so. So Lavach up to 8th, Bos back to 9th. In the very heated 4-way, make that technically 5-way battle for what I think is 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th and 9th.
Looks like the only proper battle currently out there.
Yeah, most likely it seems to be the case. And Lavach making the Bettenhausen souls very happy indeed. Putting that car on a road course, I think, further up than Mr. Bettenhausen evident himself in that car.
August Watering also said in the chat that he first of all never gelled with the track, with this combination of car and track. He always kind of struggled, and he's also saying now that everyone who finishes will have been through the gauntlet. Also explains the mood quite well.
Quite so. It's probably quite white knuckle stuff for most of the drivers on this track because of all the bumps and all the as that's Jon team all crossed up going through turn 6. But holding on in front of Lavach for now. And now with a lapped car in front, might be an opportunity for Lavach to gain another position, but the lapped car gets way out of the way. Lavach still trying up the inside of Jon team, and he takes the position. So Lavach up to 7th, Tim back to 8th.
So the gap between Wilkes and Coxon has stabilized at around 2 seconds. Last 2 laps, Wilkes only gained about 2 attempts. This time they were quite equal over the line in terms of lap time.
So maybe this is roughly the crossover point, half a tank. Roughly half a tank. See, 54, 27 to 54. A little bit more than half a tank at the moment, at least for Wilkes.
The leading pair got a big traffic pile-up incoming in front of them. Also the group we are just watching should be in your background, Wilkes and Coxon.
In the foreground indeed, as we now jump to Coxon. So this will be possibly make or break for the lead to be a battle side by side or nose to tail.
Will be interesting to see how much risk Coxon takes at lapping. Will he just send it? Or will he say, alright, I don't need this win. I'm having a comfortable lead. My other rivals are not having the best race. Or aren't even in the race.
Indeed, and how much help? Indeed, and how much help will they gain as Rocha moved way out of the way for Coxon? Doesn't look like Bruno will be quite so cautious, but going wide here and opening up the inside, going into the next right-hander. So still very nicely done. Oh, and Rocha off the track there. So Wilkes goes past, and now Wilkes is probably going to go past Chacon as well. And Wilkes has gained a little bit of time on Coxon in all of that. Not much, but a little.
Always little steps will could be direct approach today here if we see or if we hear from other drivers that this is just paying for them.
Indeed.
So the gap from Jakes to Tatchak is now 45 seconds. That's like 3/4 of the track.
Yeah, give or take, yeah.
Yeah. Or let's say 2/3. Should be more accurate.
For sure, for sure. For the time being, I shall jump back to the battle between Lavach team Boss and Amaral. Ooh, is Jon team way wide, nearly giving the wall a hit, as the leaders now also in the background. So we can at the same time see and know how it's going for them. As we are, for most drivers, now in the second half of the race. technically for half the drivers still in this race, half distance. Let's see, considering we are halfway and we don't have any wheel-to-wheel action at the very moment, let's have a quick look at the trivia question for you for the last half of this race, which goes as follows. Courtesy of Jason White, who won the last kart IndyCar race held at Burke Lakefront Airport on June 24th, 2007. Was it A, Paul Tracy? Was it B, Alex Tagliani? Or was it C, Sebastian Bourdais? Answer to that question after the finish of this race. Any immediate thought on that one, Tim, by the way?
Not really, no. I mean, I could flip a coin. I would have the same same result, you know.
Fair enough.
If I would have to guess, I would say maybe Bourdais. I mean, he drove F1 in 08 and 09, I think, or just 08. So he couldn't be that bad in IndyCar.
No, indeed. Well, answer to that, again, as I said, after today's race. I will say when I answered that question, I got it wrong. But then again, that was after Kenny Breck did no more races either, so I hope I'm excused. As John Team now under attack from Francisco Amaral. So Machinists Union. Ooh, Amaral gets right up underneath the gearbox of John Team. Versus Leader Card Racing. In the battle for 9th and 10th, with the leaders right behind. And only a few seconds behind them is Anders Nilsson, so Nilsson has also closed up on the leaders. So looks like it might be a three-way fight soon. And look at that, Wilkes is now right behind Coxon. And Amaral takes a wide berth, letting them both pass. Wowee, that is very sporting, maybe a bit too sporting. So let's jump back to the leaders now. Looking at Wilkes, following Coxon, and only 4-5 seconds behind is Anders Nilsson.
Last time around, Anders was a full second faster. He did a 13-1, and two Richards did a 14-1 or a 42. Coxon misshifted? Or...
Ooh, wow.
It was an easy pass.
Let's jump on board and have a listen. Oh no, he didn't. He just let Wilkes past. He just went off the throttle and let him past. So that definitely...
If he thinks that's the right decision, have fun.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like a championship thing right there, where he just moves out of the way and lets someone who's currently faster get on with it and not have to fight it, and just score as many points as he can.
Yeah, sometimes it's just faster to use your brain in the race instead of listen to the spirit in yourself that says fight for this win.
Indeed.
I think that's also kind of how Wilkes won the championship in the 86 season. He obviously had the outright pace, but he also was smart. He always got the results.
For sure.
And Coxon probably attempting the same, now that he's in the same position like Wilkes was last year.
Definitely a possibility. As Coxon got all crossed up, getting past, I think it was Jason Fetch. In the 55 entry. If I might be misidentifying who it was, but Coxon all crossed up, getting past a lap car. Oh, as Wilkes now, big lock up there. I think that was Wilkes. No, that might have been Jason White actually. Because, yep, there is Wilkes, so that was probably Jason White then in the darker car. White or McKeels. Jason White it was, because that's his. The Gallus cars and the Hemmelgang car is very easy to mistake for each other, I have to say. Those liveries are fairly closely knitted together. And unfortunately for us, all these lappings that the leaders are doing now is breaking up the battle we were enjoying previously.
Yeah, I think they're just now playing it safe till the pit stops.
Could definitely be, but saying that, Tim almost cut a bit too far into the inside and had a bit of a moment, but held on. Nilsson blasts past.
And so far, no yellows. I'm a little bit disappointed, to be honest.
Well, it's definitely a credit to the drivers being able to keep it off the wall and debris so far. Because this is a very tiring race. I mean, it's so much hard work, so much to keep track of, so much concentration to, as you say, know where the corner is and when to start doing stuff to get into the turns.
It also shows the level the drivers have here at ISO. It's not like there are some people who can't drive, but they've really got some talent. Anders on the gearbox of Coxon, or not on the gearbox, but he can definitely see it and have an inspection just from the eye. And now he spins. It's the commentator cursed. Half spin for Nielsen, just as he was closing up.
Well, let's watch that back. Oh, the same turn as always, is it?
Same procedures last year.
Oh, ran a bit too wide on the exit. Half the car and tires on the grass. Heave ho, it says, and ride on cowboys for Nilsson right there. But yes, indeed. It's for sure. That could very easily have ended up in the grocery store, in the carrots and tomato section. Technically, it's called a greengrocers in English, isn't it?
I don't know.
That rings a bell, so I think it's actually that for like a grocery store that only sells specifically fruits and vegetables. But either way, the battle...
Yeah, instantly closed up again.
Yep. So definitely looks like Coxon is running to a pace here and just keeping it safe, while Anderson Wilkes looks to be a bit more antsy and wanting to get on with it. I wonder if Coxon, yep, he'll do the exact same thing.
Again.
Which he is very much entitled to do. I mean, he ain't losing out on the overall championship lead, letting Nilsson by either. So Nilsson now 4 seconds behind Wilkes, as Whited has retired, I just saw here. Let's see if we can find out what finally caught him out. Oh, looks like he has decided to give up the race because he goes into the pit lane. Looks all okay. Stops in his pit stall. And promptly retires from the race. So either that's a okay, I've had enough, or that's a some kind of technical difficulty for him that causes him to decide to, okay, I'll just park the car and save everyone else the trouble.
Mysteries of Cleveland.
Indeed, indeed. And I suppose half another one would be that Tatjak now has Railroad all right behind him. I think the gap there was a good 5-6 seconds some few laps ago. As we are also closing in on the point where Wilkes is likely to pit if he's following the 27-27 way of doing things.
It would be interesting to see if someone might be gambling on the late yellow. Now it takes now less fuel. Splash and dash at the end, but if we didn't have any yellows yet, I don't think we'll have some at the end.
Well, probably not, but you never know for sure. That's the most tricky thing with this, with racing in general and this racing in particular.
Let's hope we don't have a situation like in Singapore 2007 when Piquet crashed on purpose, so Alonso could get a cheap pit stop to win the race.
Well, a positive thing that is that we at least don't have a Briatore, or can't remember what the other guy was called, to make that kind of call. So hopefully we won't have any such situation going on. But it would indeed be very unfortunate indeed, as Jon Team has lost out to Amaral, so Amaral up to 8th, Jon Team down to 9th, and you have Bose even further down to 10th. That's a total reversal. Bose was 8th a few laps ago, now Amaral is 8th and Bose to 10th. So, just to run through the grid, the standings before the next set of pit stops starts, we have Richard Wilkes currently in the lead by what is roughly 2.5 seconds ahead of Anders Nilsson in second. Coxon in a fairly secure, safe third by the looks of things, with David Yates in fourth and Tatjak in fifth. Anders Nilsson now sets the fastest lap at a 12.1 as Ray Riddall is in sixth. Peter Lavac is currently in 7th, and then we have that battle with Amaral in 8th, Jon Team in 9th, and Bose in 10th, with Jules Bouchard still in 11th, with Adam Hackman in 12th, Keomi Kielst in 13th, Oscar Tim in 14th, Brunsha Khan currently in 15th, with Jason White in 16th, Luciano Roja is 17th, with Jason White retired. Jason Fitch in a few laps' time will be 18th then, and I believe he is the final runner in the race at the moment.
Last time around, Anders was a full second faster than anyone else here. Probably pushing it now.
Oh, for sure. Four-wheel drift all the way up to the concrete barrier on the outside, coming out of this third to last turn. Holy moly, Anders is pushing.
Using all his fuel before he fuels up again. Smart decision.
Indeed.
If he can still make his pit stop window.
Ooh, I think
again
he may...
another second faster.
Yeah, but I think he may have given the outside barrier a little bit of a tap again coming off turn 2.
Nah, just a slight kiss, it will be okay. That's at least let's hope so for the race.
It's a bit like how real-life drivers do it occasionally. Like, okay, I kissed the ball, should be fine. And then all of a sudden you have like a broken air valve or something on the tire, and you just have a straight flat. You go like, crap, it wasn't fine this time.
I love how on Live Racers currently, Andres is shown with a flame status back, which perfectly sums up how he is driving at the moment.
For sure, and Wilkes all crossed up off the third to last turn now. Down into the final chicane again, and now almost nose to rear wing to front wing here. Between Wilkes and Nilsson for the lead of this race. And is putting in a splendid performance here. Really pushing hard. And Wilkes likewise looking to do everything he can to try and stay ahead. Oh, but look at this, Nilsson with a great run off the turn. Ooh, dives out to the outside. Let's see if he can make it around outside. I think that's a bit too brave at this point in the race. But he should have a decent run coming through here. Oh, but Wilkes putting in a great line as well with a defensive line, but still getting the speed off that turn. Oh, now Nilsson with trying a bit of a cutback, but not able to make that work. Oh, look at that, they're almost up to lapping the 5th place car in this race. In the form of Tatjak. Oh, so Wilkes heads for the pits. Yep, and Nilsson goes for another lap. Wow, so despite having pushed that hard, Nilsson still has more fuel left to use. Wow.
This lap needs to be perfect for him to make the overcut work. Wilkes with cold tires now, or after the pit stop. Won't have the best of his laps today, so if Nilsson has luck with the traffic, he could end up in the leading spot after the pit stop shenanigans.
Indeed. Problem for him is that he has Tatjak, who is not a slowpoke in the slightest. Ooh!
Nah, just sending it.
Whoa!
He's a guy on the mission.
I reckon my eyes are just as wide as Tatjak was when he looked in his right side mirror and noticed, oh shit, he's actually going for it. Wow. So I wonder if Nilsson is pitting at the end of this lap then. With that kind of push. When Michiel's now, tight line, probably going to try and leave the outside open. Yep, he does. That will have caused Nilsson to be just a little bit tentative.
Another lap for him.
Wow! Holy moly! So Nilsson trying to overcut a lot and have to fuel less as well. So this could be a masterstroke of a tactical move for Nilsson right here. Currently 31 seconds in the lead of Wilkes. But it looks like the new tires are helping Wilkes right now.
I think Anders is now pitting. He has got that wrench symbol that signals that you are asking the crew to pit in.
Well, that's probably a good choice, because I think he's currently losing time to Wilkes on older tires now.
Yeah, last time around half a second. Anders 13.8.
Yeah, that's... I suppose it's mainly the rear tires that take a beating around here, because you're having to speed up over bumps and trying to get power to the road over all these undulations in the track. Ooh, but pushing all the way out to the outside barrier again, so Nilsson really trying hard to make the most out of this opportunity. Into the pits he comes, indeed. And let's see how well his pit crew can work this pit stop.
Wilkes now in the last 90-degree corner, exiting on the last proper straight.
So Nilsson down from tire stop. Nilsson coming out. Already. Wow.
Wilkes with traffic in front of him.
Yep, there
might
is
have lost a
Wilkes.
little bit.
And look at that, Nielsen already coming out to the pit stop lane. Into turn 1 he goes. Sorry, turn 3 that is, nowadays. There goes Tatchak. Here comes then Wilkes. And he had Ray, was it in front of him? Yep. So Wilkes losing out quite a bit there. 9 seconds in the rears at the moment, with Coxon still running even longer. Wow, what an overcut by Anders. Holy moly.
Wilkes was about 6 seconds slower in the lap when they had the pit stop. When they pitted, Anders did a 37 point something, and Wilkes did a 43.
Oof.
About 6 seconds there.
So that's roughly the time difference. And look at that from Coxon, an 11.7. Wow. So maybe Coxon wants to have a go at it anyway. Okay, so Coxon into the pits. Right, so I think what happened there is because there is no pit speed limit.
Yeah, just
Coxon just blasted down the pit lane and picked up the fastest lap. I wonder what Cartman will do with that. Oh, and lock up for Coxon, but he's actually out ahead of Wilkes, so Wilkes really slow on with that in lap to the pits. So Coxon out in second, 5 seconds out of Wilkes. Wow. That really shows how much time Wilkes lost in the pits on the in lap. Wow.
Yeah, the 6 seconds he lost is about the gap he has to Anders.
And Hlavac in a battle with Amaral at the moment for 7th and 8th. Both a little bit further behind in 9th, and John Team fairly distant 10th now. Oh, and Bors on the grass. That's not where you want to be around here. Able to hold on and survives. Trying to get closer to the duo in front, I think. As it looks like this is another section where Amaral is probably quicker on a lower tank of fuel, but obviously with a full tank, Hlavac is quicker.
Or maybe just a different approach and using the boost summer, maybe driving with more boost in the beginning of your stint with the fresher tires. Some maybe at the end with the lower fuel can push more. Depends on the drivers, what they feel like, personally.
Could definitely be the case, as I noticed Jason Fitch has retired as well. Going to have a quick look and see if we can catch it on the replay, but it looks like it happened a while ago. It did indeed, but that looks like a possible engine failure. Yep, that is an engine failure heading down the infield straight and a big blow up. Wow. That's a very disintegrated engine right there. That's unfortunate for Jason, but looked like he had a red hot go at least. Gave it a very good go. Amaral now under attack from Joa Bors. And Bors up the inside down the front straight and takes away 8th place from Amaral.
Last time round, Wilkes was the fastest of the top 3. Around 3/4 of a second faster than Coxon and Nielsen.
So it's again looking like Wilkes has a very good car on more fuel, but not quite as fast a car when the fuel burns off. Or possibly his driving style not quite liking how the car behaves on low fuel. But either way, giving it a hard charge try to catch back up the time he lost on the in-lap. Looks like he should be able to catch Coxon at least. I'm not sure if he'll be able to catch Nilsson. Suppose that might depend a little bit on traffic and possible mistakes in the last 20, make that 19 laps. Ooh, and that looks like Jason White up ahead, leaving a good bit of room for Wilkes. And I reckon let's actually jump on board with Wilkes for the next lap and see how he is tackling this track, as he is going for a hard charge with a lot of fuel in the car.
Now Nielsen was the fastest car around the track this lap. Yeah, the gaps are just dynamic, but around the same. Sometimes one driver makes the gains 3/4 of a second, sometimes the other driver.
Ooh, that's aggressive on the downshift. Wilkes using all the revs the engine can give him. Looks like Wilkes is currently struggling with a bit of understeer. But running with quite a bit of boost in the car, I reckon. Which I suppose could be the reason why, as with higher boost you arrive into the corners quicker. Hence you need to start slowing down a little bit earlier to get the same kind of speed where the tires can work for you. And obviously he may not have that down pat just yet on this particular run of tires and fuel. I reckon for Wilkes now it's almost a case of needing to do what Schumacher did in the early 2000s in an event where I think effectively the team leader there told him in the car over the radio that okay, the situation is like this and you'll need to do this kind of lap time for the rest of the race, which was more or less qualifying times, but Schumacher simply went, okay, I'll try.
I think it was in Hungary against one of the McLarens.
Häkkinen maybe then?
Yeah. Hungary 98, maybe? Could
it
be
might
wrong.
even been that early, yeah.
But definitely both have the same mission now. Drive as fast as they can, drive like they have stolen the car.
It looks like Anders is definitely doing just as good a job as Wilkes is at the moment. And Coxon in between ain't going slow either. Very interesting to see how different strategies are working out here. And I think Wilkes will be kicking himself over the time he did lose on that in-lap. Because again, without that, he would probably be in the draft of Nilsson and be able to be just up behind him right now in the race. Let's see actually a little bit further back. What is transpiring in the battle between Hlavac and the other boys? Hlavac currently still in 7th, Bo still in 8th. Amaral I think just struck the wall in turn 9. Maybe that turn 10 on this layout. Let's see. Oh yeah, that's way too quick in there. Yep, he definitely struck the outside barriers. So I think Amaral will now be in a position of holding on to the car and trying to bring it to the finish. Oh, someone is into the pits this late in the race. That must be one of those that picked up some repairs maybe. Jason White in the pits for a quick splash of fuel and looks like a new set of tires. Rocha currently in 17th, Fitch retired along with Whited, Riddle, Grant that is, Olsen, Wattman, Watering and Equino. And it indeed looks like Wilkes ought to be able to catch Coxon, if only just. But I think Anderson, unless he makes a mistake, is out of reach, and that could be Anderson's, I think, first race victory in the series this year. If he were to be able to hold on. There's still 13 laps to go in this race, as someone has spun onto the infield there. Let's see, there they go. That is Jason White, unfortunately, with a bit of a spin there, but able to recover and keep going. As it unfortunately seems like Tim has some problem with his hardware with the microphone there, but we'll get through this, hopefully no problem anyway. We can see that Wilkes is definitely closing in. It's now nearly under a second, but the car gets in between, and that means Wilkes loses quite a bit of time there. No fault of Chacon, simply having to take the turn when he gets there.
Test. 1, 2, 3.
Yep.
Am I back?
Yep, you are. Welcome back.
Yeah, my microphone lost me, or rather I lost my microphone.
Easily done. These are fickle things, these electronic hardware things. There is no equivalent English word for what I wanted to use for Swedish, so that's why I had to stumble. Right, and is still holding on to a 7 to 8 second lead, and with that loss of time, Wilkes now between 2 and 3 seconds in the rears of Coxon.
Yeah, the gap is stabilized between Nilsson, Coxon and Wilkes. Always around. So for Wilkes it's about 6 to 7 seconds to Coxon, to Nilsson. And to Coxon always around. Right, to Coxon he's second. Sorry, I'm a little bit confused at the moment. And to Coxon it's always around 2 seconds to 3 seconds.
Quite, and watching Jakes at the moment in fourth, secure fourth. He looks to be struggling with quite a lot of oversteer in that car, at least at this moment in time. So that might have been his problem the whole race then, car oversteering too much on him and unable to get the power down the way he would like. But either way, still, with that kind of issue, still finishing fourth is a very good effort indeed.
Do you think we will have any more car BQ in the upcoming laps, last 10 laps?
Ooh. It is definitely possible, it's just a question of will it happen. This is a very power-hungry track overall, because you're going from second and third gear up to fourth, fifth, sixth, and then back down again. So you're always having to accelerate, and that obviously puts quite a strain on the engine. And a lot of gear changes as well, where you can make mistakes and cause extra revs on the engine. I think we are probably 50-50 on that. As it looks like, despite a slightly damaged car, Amaral has gotten past Bose. So Amaral up into 8th, both in 9th, and Bose trying to chase after Amaral.
Amaral seemed to have a good race. He was always within a second of another car when I looked at him.
Indeed. Yeah, Amaral has shown some fairly decent pace in previous races, but struggled with reliability. I think he's had 3 or 4 discos in the opening round, so hopefully he'll be able to finish this one in a very credible 8th position. Oh no!
Wilkes has crashed, he has lost his rear wing, he is now limping back to the pits.
In the worst spot possible, right where Juan Pablo Montoya went off all those years ago. Hit the tire on the inside, car span on him, and out into the outside barrier he went. Oh dearie me. And the car crabbing quite considerably, and with no rear wing, so I think now it'll be quite a long repair stop, and Wilkes will just be happy to finish, I reckon. That was so unfortunate, but he definitely gave it a proper go to try and get up to second and maybe even first place there.
And that puts Jakes into third?
It does indeed. Even more incredible considering how oversteery his car has looked the last few times I've seen him.
Yeah, his cars always look oversteery.
Well, maybe, but his car in particular has looked very, very oversteery. Again, all loose coming off the turn. So that means Coxon now in a secure second place, and I reckon Coxon will be happy with second in this race, and looks like he is more or less now driving to a pace, and Nilsson immediately has pulled a little bit of time on him.
It's now on his way to his first win this year in the kart series.
I think he has 1 win in the F1 58 series so far.
Yeah, in France.
At Rouen. So this will be his then second win this year, I believe, in the full-time series we do. Make that third win, because he's also gotten 1 class win in the DRM series. That's Sunfort.
Ray Redord has also now retired the car.
Oh dear, that could very well be a barbecue then, because that's a Chevrolet. That looks very suspicious indeed. Let's see, down into turn 1, all okay. Through turn 2, then on the straight to turn 3. Oh, and it goes right as he begins to turn into turn 3. That looks like a turbo blown with that white smoke, and that's unfortunately Ray out of the race, and that means Amaral is up into 6th and Hlavac up into 5th. And Tachak up to 4th, was already in 4th with the Wilkes repair stop. So Hlavac 5th, Amaral 6th, Jon Team up to 7th, Buchard up to 8th, Adam Hackman up to 9th, Ray Riddle, Bors will be up to 10th. Richard Wilkes still in the pits for repairs, maybe even KO might possibly get him up into 11th even here in one of the Honda powered cars for Gallus Racing. Back to the front, Nilsson has been closed up on by Coxon once again, 6 laps from the end. So the battle still ain't over. And obviously it's 6 more laps, roughly 12, 40 more miles for the car to possibly blow.
Also 14 more miles to maybe make a mistake under the pressure.
Indeed, indeed.
So all of this has now put Amaral into 6th, and he's now possibly fighting for 5th with Hlavac.
Indeed. Oh, yeah, they've definitely closed back together again. Well, let's have a look at this while we try to keep an eye on if the distance at the front closes up once again. But for now, Amaral putting pressure on Hlavac. 1.5 hours gone in this race, and ooh! Hlavac all crossed up, coming off of turn 9, 10, 11, whatever turn number that is. Third to last turn, and still holds on to 5th for now, but that's like blood in the water for a racing driver when someone has that kind of loose moment. And again, low fuel for Amaral's car, looks to be right where it wants to be. Oh, and Amaral really wide there. I think he missed the braking point for turn 4. And that means he drops back just a little bit. And then again a little bit on the loose. Oh, and I think that might even be a spin for him. Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Pushing maybe a bit too hard for the tires. But he's well clear of Tim, so he will be able to hold on to that 6th for now. That was one of those, well, I'll give it a go, but I think the tires overheated on him, and that's all she wrote, unfortunately. So let's see, 4 laps to go, 4 seconds the difference. I think by now it's only a mistake that could bring Coxon up to the rear wing of Nilsson's car.
By now it's basically for everyone just crawl to the finish line, because the gaps are a little bit too big for any fights in the last lap.
Most likely, yeah. But it's one of those situations where you go, well, I'm still going to go as fast as I'm comfortable going, because I want to be there in case the car in front makes a mistake. As I notice, the pit lane is clear, so Wilkes is out running again. Just going to wait for the live scoring to tick over, and we can have a look at him being currently in 12th position. 4 laps down on the leader, so 4 laps worth of repairs from that incident.
Yeah, it was a costly mistake from basically safe podium down to P12.
But it's a mistake very easily made as well. Especially when going hard. Oh no, you have Bose has just blown up! So that's another Chevrolet biting the dust. Oh, that'll be disappointing for Juha for sure.
Was for his engine lap 75 of lap 80.
Mm-hmm.
Pain.
For sure, for sure. I think the only thing that beats that would be blowing up, like you've just slowed down for the third to last turn and the engine blows and you might be able to coast, but you can't quite get to the start finish line. That would be the worst for sure. But still, that is really unfortunate for Juha. Putting on a very good race, but unfortunately the engine is saying enough is enough. And Hlavac got him past Tatchak.
Tatchak made a mistake last lap round. He did a 24.9.
Oh, he had a spin. He ran a bit wide, and he had someone let him by. Jason White let him by, and Tatchak just entered the fourth last turn a bit too quickly, had a spin, and had a fairly slow rejoin running across the infield, and Hlavac taking advantage. So Hlavac up to fourth, and Tatchak right behind. And Yake's not too far ahead. Well, that's a lap ahead, but still, I thought that's very close track-wise. As we are 2 laps from the end of the race and 2.5 seconds difference for first to second. Let's see here. We'll just follow a lap with Hlavac and Tatchak and see. Ooh, Hlavac all crossed up coming off the third to last turn. Tatchak with an opportunity then to get a run down the back straight and getting past Hlavac once again. Oh, up the inside he goes, brakes later. Looks like Hlavac will have to concede. Let's see if Hlavac can get a run off the final turn. Oh, he does. Up the inside he goes, down towards turn 1. Oh, and a bit of contact there, but Hlavac... Oh, no, he has to actually shortcut. Possibly down to the contact there, but Hlavac back to 5th. Tatchak up to 4th. And slightly rubbish on... Some rubbish on the tyres for Hlavac now, so that could be troublesome. Yep, all crossed up. Maybe the rear tyre is crying enough as well, as it's late in the stint. But wow, some great last couple of laps of racing here still. And look at that, Hlavac closing back up on Tatchak. And Hlavac putting that car where it certainly never... I can't imagine that car ever were this far up in a road or street race. Ooh, but he runs wide. Oh no, that's a spin, and that'll be 5th for Hlavac. No, that's 6th. Oh, that was Amaral just behind him, so Amaral up to 5th. Hlavac back to 6th. Oh dearie me, that's a costly mistake for Hlavac. And Amaral closing up on Tatchak with 1 lap to go. In the meantime, on the final lap is Anders Nilsson.
Was there smoke? Andre's engine is heavily smoking.
Oh no! No! It's blown! It's blown out to the third last turn!
Coxon closing up massively.
No!
Obviously with a working engine. That's... I mean, if it was already pain for Juha, this is even more pain.
Oh, hold on.
Coxon is pushing him to the finish flag. Now he's just left him.
I wonder if he
I'm
simply...
gonna take this win.
That was very strange, but let's see. Nelson coasting. So meantime, across the start-finish line, Richard Coxon takes the win. Wow.
Nielsen can coast to the finish line, takes his well-deserved second place. Should have been
Oh,
first.
that's so unfortunate for Nelson. Holy moly. I was just talking about this as well. Ay, 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 ay. Oh no, Nelson won't make it, I don't think.
Now he is done, I think, because Jakes is classified in third. Yeah, he just crawled along the line. Jakes qualified third. Finished third.
Oh no. This is exactly what I just talked about earlier. Wow. Did he really not make it across the start-finish line? Or did he? Oh, it looks like... Yeah, he did classify. Okay, so Nelson did make it, so he's finished second. Jakes finishes third. Vadim Tachak will finish fourth, ahead of Amaral in fifth. Hlavac, a possibly somewhat disappointed sixth for Bettenhausen. Jan Team comes across the finish line in seventh. Jules Bouchard finishes eighth. Adam Hackman ninth. Kio McKeels looks to have finished in 10th. Richard Wilkes will finish 11th. Oscar Tim in 12th. Johan Bors finishes 13th. Brun Chacon will finish 15th. Luciano Roja in 15th. Jason White will finish 16th. Ray Riddle retired in 17th. Jason Fitch also retired, so the last remaining cars here: Fitch, Whited, Grant Riddle, Mike Olsen, Simon Watman, August Watering, and Alberto Quino retired from the race. Wow, what a finish to that race!
Yeah, it's impossible to not feel sorry for Nielsen. Such a great race. Overcut Wilkes. Coxnet and pass, but yeah, still having the pace to be the leader in the last lap. Losing your engine. They had to third to last corner. Just like you said it.
I can't believe that. Wow.
But I think Coxner in the end he pushed Nielsen a little bit, because he knew that Jakes was probably behind him, and Jakes is his closest rival, is still in the field. Tachek was also behind Jakes. You know, it would be better for Coxon if Nielsen finishes and doesn't DNF entirely.
Wow. That's absolutely incredible. Wow. Yeah, that'll certainly be an interesting take on all of that. Wow. Well, while we try to catch our breath and get our minds around what has happened, let's have a look at the trivia question for this evening and the answer to it. So, the question was, who won the last kart IndyCar race held at Burke Lakefront Airport on June 24th, 2007? Was it A. Paul Tracy? Was it B. Alex Tagliani? Or was it C. Sebastian Bourdais?
I think I'm gonna stick with Bourdais.
Okay. And the correct answer is A. Paul Tracy. Incredibly. I also thought it was Sebastian Bourdais when I saw the question. But yeah, that I'd assume would be one of the last wins for Paul Tracy in his racing career. At least when it comes to kart and IndyCar.
Yeah. So in Indianapolis, Richard Coxon was our Mario Andretti. Now he is our Paul Tracy for today.
I think he does. I think he won't mind the Indianapolis Mario Andretti liking. I'm not sure he'll take as kindly to the liking of being like Paul Tracy, but I don't know. It could be other way around. I know when it comes to Paul Tracy, it's either you really like him or you really dislike him. There doesn't seem to be any like middle ground on Mr. Tracy when it comes to him as a driver.
Coxon is just one. He is one of the happiest persons in the world currently.
Most likely, yeah. And I think Anders is probably one of the most crestfallen people in the world at the moment, because that is proper heartbreak having the engine blow like that so close to the finish.
Yeah, and losing his potentially first victory in this kart season.
Hmm. And it looks like we won't have any interviewees for after the race, and I can completely understand them. This will have been an extremely tiring hour and 45 minutes of driving for all our participants. So, any final thoughts for you, Tim, before we cap off this broadcast for tonight?
No, I mean, I think it was a good race in general. We had some fights here and there. Also sometimes when we didn't have any fights, but that's how it is sometimes in racing. And yeah, was a good race.
Definitely was. It was really interesting to see the drivers handling these cars around here. And again, Burke Lakefront Airport throws up another great race like it most often does. If it's not, it's in real life, it's an engine brake. It's a car breaker technically, engine and other components. And here it was both engine and driver braking, I suppose one could say, with the mistakes that we did see. Um, Again, Coxon gets away with a win, which all in all is deserved because he was in the right place at the right time when Anders ran into trouble. But anyway, congratulations to Richard Coxon for taking the win. And to Anders Nilsson, despite the heartbreaking second, congratulations on getting another podium in the series. And also to David Yates for third place. Quite consistent drive from him tonight. Thank you also to Tim for joining me for this broadcast. A joy as always. And thank you to all our viewers for tuning in, and watching tonight's action. Hope you all enjoyed this as much as I did broadcasting it, and by the sound of things, you enjoyed it a lot as well, Tim.
Yeah, it was a nice race. Maybe a little bit hot for me personally, but race was also heated sometimes, so it was a perfect match.
For sure, for sure. So, from a heat-waved Europe, this is Jonatan Acerclinth and Tim Hille thanking you and wishing you a good week. Technically, couple of weeks until we'll be live next time in 2 weeks' time for the Molson Indy Toronto. But until then, take care of each other and everyone, and have a great couple of weeks. Good night.